Picture this. A sunny day in the Canary Islands turns into the bleakest moment in aviation history. On the 27th of March 1977, the serene skies of the Canary Islands bore witness to the most tragic day in aviation history. Tenerife's Los Rodeos Airport became the stage for a catastrophic collision between two Boeing 747s. But what led to this monumental tragedy? The day started like any other, yet a series of misunderstandings and unfavorable circumstances would soon unfold. Los Rodeos Airport was blanketed in a dense fog, and radio communications were overloaded due to a large number of flights being diverted to this airport following a bomb threat at Gran Canaria, the main airport. The two aircraft involved in this disaster were a KLM Boeing 747, piloted by Captain Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten, and a Pan Am Boeing 747. The collision resulted in the loss of 583 lives, making it the deadliest accident in aviation history. A lack of clarity and understanding in the communications between the control tower and the two aircraft played a pivotal role in the unfolding tragedy. A crucial message from the control tower to the KLM plane was blocked by another radio transmission. Adding to the complexity of the situation, Captain Veldhuizen van Zanten was under pressure to take off as quickly as possible to avoid exceeding legal flight time limits. This pressure influenced his decision to initiate takeoff without a clear confirmation from the control tower. The dense fog further complicated matters, reducing visibility on the ground and preventing the crews of both aircraft from seeing each other's movements on the runway. Psychological factors such as authority gradient and time pressure also had significant impacts. Excessive respect for hierarchy caused the other crew members to hesitate in challenging the KLM flight commander's decisions, while the pressure to adhere to the schedule contributed to hasty decision-making. Let's dive into the circumstances that led to this catastrophic event, and remember, by reflecting on the past, we can help build a safer future in aviation. A series of unfortunate events and misunderstandings set the stage for the disaster. It all began on a day shrouded in dense fog, with visibility at ground level reduced to a bare minimum. The Los Rodeos Airport, tucked away in the scenic archipelago of the Canary Islands, was not equipped to handle the volume of traffic it was about to receive. A bomb threat at the main airport in Gran Canaria had caused a flurry of flight diversions to Los Rodeos. The sudden influx of aircraft created an environment of chaos and confusion. The quiet airport was suddenly bustling, its radio communication system strained to the limit. Amid the cacophony of voices in multiple languages, crucial messages were lost and misunderstandings arose. In this environment, two Boeing 747s, one belonging to KLM and the other to Pan Am, found themselves on a collision course. The KLM aircraft, commanded by Captain Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten, was eager to take off. The captain was under pressure to avoid exceeding the legal flying hours, and this urgency would play a pivotal role in the events that were to unfold. Meanwhile, the Pan Am aircraft was still taxiing on the runway, unaware of the impending disaster. The dense fog acted as a curtain, obscuring the view of each aircraft from the other. In addition, the radio communications were overcrowded and plagued by interference. A critical message from the control tower to the KLM flight was blocked by another transmission. This led to a fatal misunderstanding, setting the stage for the worst aviation disaster in history. These were the conditions that laid the groundwork for the disaster. But what actually triggered it? As we delve deeper into the factors that led to this tragic event, we'll explore how a chain of unfortunate circumstances, coupled with human error, culminated in a catastrophe that changed the face of aviation forever. Communication, or rather the lack thereof, played a pivotal role in this tragedy. The delicate dance of aviation is one of precision and clarity, and when those elements falter, the consequences can be catastrophic. The foggy backdrop of Los Rodeos Airport on that fateful day was the stage for a breakdown in communication. Radio channels were congested, leading to critical messages being lost in the static. One such message from the control tower to KLM was blocked by another transmission, creating a fatal misunderstanding. Imagine a game of broken telephone where the message gets distorted as it passes from person to person. Except in this case, the stakes were not just a laugh at the end, but hundreds of lives hanging in the balance. The control tower believed the KLM Boeing was stationary, waiting for clearance. The KLM crew, on the other hand, thought they had received the green light for takeoff. Adding fuel to the fire was the mounting pressure on Captain Jacob Veldhuisen van Zanten of KLM. The ticking clock was a constant reminder of the legal flight time limits he was pushing against. This pressure, combined with the misunderstood communication, led to a hasty and ill-fated decision to start the takeoff run without clear confirmation from the control tower. The foggy conditions that shrouded the airport that day were not just a physical hindrance, but a metaphor for the situation unfolding. The lack of clear visibility mirrored the lack of clear communication. The Pan Am Boeing, invisible in the fog, was still on the runway when the KLM Boeing began its takeoff run. Amid these pressures and miscommunications, visibility was another major factor. The dense fog that had settled over Los Rodeos Airport reduced visibility to such a degree that the crew of both aircraft were unable to see each other's movements on the runway. This lack of visibility, coupled with the misunderstood communications and the mounting pressure on the KLM captain, created a perfect storm for the tragedy that was about to unfold. Imagine trying to navigate a busy road in a dense fog. Now imagine doing that in a plane. On that fateful day in March of 1977, the crews of the two Boeing 747s found themselves in a situation just like that. The Los Rodeos Airport was swallowed by a heavy fog, reducing visibility to dangerous levels. In the world of aviation, visibility is not just a matter of convenience, it's a matter of life and death. Pilots have to rely on their sight to avoid obstacles, to follow the right path, and most importantly, to avoid other aircraft. In the case of the Tenerife disaster, the dense fog created a veil that hid the two giant aircraft from each other. The Pan Am and the KLM planes were both on the same runway. In a clear day, the crews would have easily spotted each other. But that day, the fog was so thick that it was impossible for the pilots, co-pilots, and flight engineers to see beyond a few meters. They were virtually flying blind, and that led to the tragic collision. What made matters worse was the layout of the Los Rodeos Airport. It had only one runway and one taxiway. Consequently, the planes had to taxi on the runway, which increased the risk of a collision, especially in poor visibility conditions. Moreover, the airport was not equipped with ground radar, a technology that allows the control tower to monitor the position of planes on the ground, even in poor visibility. Had ground radar been available, the control tower could have alerted the KLM plane that the Pan Am was still on the runway. Visibility was a challenge, but the psychological factors were equally, if not more, critical. When we talk about aviation accidents, we often overlook the human factor, but the psychology at play in the cockpit can often be a decisive element in the unfolding of events. Let's delve into this aspect a bit further in the context of the Tenerife disaster. Key psychological factors at play here were the authority gradient and time pressure. Authority gradient refers to the perceived power distance between individuals. In this case, it was the steep hierarchy in the cockpit. Captain Van Zanten was KLM's top pilot, and his co-pilots held him in high regard. This excessive respect for authority, combined with an aversion to conflict, made the rest of the crew hesitate to question his decisions. This psychological dynamic played a significant role in the unfortunate events that led to the collision. Now let's talk about time pressure. The crew was racing against the clock due to duty time regulations, which limited the number of hours a crew could work. Captain Van Zanten was aware that they were running out of time. The increasing pressure to take off as soon as possible led him to initiate the takeoff without receiving clear confirmation from air traffic control. This haste, fueled by the ticking clock, further contributed to the disaster. It's important to remember that humans are not infallible, and high-pressure situations can exacerbate errors. The Tenerife disaster was a tragic example of how psychological factors can impact decision-making processes, leading to catastrophic outcomes. So what have we learned from this catastrophe? The importance of open communication and questioning authority when safety is at stake, and the need to manage time pressure effectively. These lessons have since been incorporated into pilot training programs worldwide, with the introduction of Crew Resource Management, or CRM, which emphasizes the importance of communication, leadership, and decision-making in the cockpit. By understanding and acknowledging these psychological factors, we can work towards preventing such tragedies in the future. The Tenerife disaster serves as a stark reminder of the human element in aviation safety. Every cloud has a silver lining, and even from this tragic event, there were valuable lessons learned. One of the most profound takeaways from the Tenerife airport disaster is the significance of clear communication. The catastrophe underscored how ambiguity and misunderstanding in radio transmissions can lead to fatal consequences. It stressed the need for concise, unambiguous dialogue between the control tower and aircraft, making it a priority in aviation protocols worldwide. Another vital lesson is the importance of effectively managing stress and operational pressures. The flight captain's rush to take off to avoid exceeding flight time regulations demonstrated how such pressures could cloud judgment and lead to disastrous decisions. It's a stark reminder for the aviation industry about the potential dangers of undue haste and the need for sound, rational decision-making even under pressure. The Tenerife accident also brought to light the psychological factors that can influence critical decisions in the cockpit. The excessive deference to authority, or authority gradient, and the reluctance of the flight crew to question the captain's decisions played a significant role in the tragedy. This incident led to a paradigm shift in cockpit culture, giving birth to a more democratic and less hierarchical structure. Today, input from all crew members is valued, encouraging a more collective decision-making process, but the lessons didn't end there. The accident paved the way for significant changes in the aviation industry. In the aftermath, there was a renewed focus on improving communication procedures, with emphasis on the use of standardized phrases and protocols to avoid any confusion. The introduction of Crew Resource Management, or CRM, was another significant development. CRM focuses on improving interpersonal communication, leadership, and decision-making in the cockpit. It fosters a culture of safety, encouraging crew members to voice their concerns and question authority when necessary. The Tenerife disaster also highlighted the need for better visibility aids on runways, leading to advancements in technology and procedures to ensure safe operations even in adverse weather conditions. In the end, the lessons learned from this tragic event have been instrumental in shaping a safer aviation industry. They serve as a reminder of the importance of clear communication, managing stress and operational pressures, and cultivating a safety culture where concerns can be freely voiced. Through reflection and understanding, we take these lessons to heart, transforming the tragedy into a catalyst for change and improvement. We remember the 583 souls lost. Their memory a stark reminder of the cost of complacency, and in their memory we strive to ensure that such a disaster never repeats. Remembering the past, we strive to build a safer future in aviation. In memory of the 583 souls lost, we continue to learn and improve. The Tenerife disaster served as a wake-up call for the aviation industry. It highlighted the crucial role of clear communication, efficient stress management, and operational pressures. In response, the industry made significant strides in enhancing safety protocols. The introduction of Crew Resource Management, or CRM, has been a game-changer. It encourages open communication and mutual respect within the cockpit, reducing the chances of similar tragedies. Communication procedures were also improved to avoid misunderstandings and ensure clarity in every interaction between the control tower and pilots. We've come a long way since that fateful day in 1977, but the journey is not over. The commitment to safety in the aviation industry is an ongoing process, constantly evolving with advancements in technology and deeper understanding of human factors. Join us in this journey of learning and remembrance as we strive to make every flight a safe one.